the most powerful warship ever built, is now facing an unexpected reality. Aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford, CVN-78, more than 600 sailors are sleeping on the floor. This is not just a logistical issue, nor an isolated incident. It is a visible sign of extreme operational pressure at a moment when the global strategic balance is becoming increasingly unstable. How can a next-generation aircraft carrier designed to dominate the oceans for decades end up in this situation? How can a $13 billion war machine run out of proper sleeping space for its crew? This paradox reveals a deeper truth. In modern conflict, the limit is no longer just technological, it is human. But a specific event turned this long deployment into an internal crisis. In early March 2026, a fire broke out on board. It did not start in a combat zone or a high-risk operational area, but in a service space, the laundry room. Yet on a ship of this scale, nothing is ever truly minor. The ventilation system acted as an invisible accelerator, spreading smoke and heat across multiple compartments. The fire burned for over 30 hours. Firefighting teams operated in confined, smoke-filled, high-temperature conditions. By the end, the damage was significant. Entire living quarters became uninhabitable. At least 600 sailors lost their berths. Some found space in common areas, others had no choice but to sleep on tables or directly on the floor. When the USS Gerald R. Ford, CVN-78, left Naval Station Norfolk on June 24, 2025, its mission was clear and routine, a 6 to 9 month deployment, a standard timeline for a U.S. aircraft carrier. But as months passed, the geopolitical situation deteriorated. Tensions in the Middle East escalated, particularly with Iran, and the American presence became essential in a critical zone, the Red Sea and its strategic maritime choke points. By early March 2026, the ship had already spent more than 255 days at sea. Its deployment was extended, its return delayed. The mission could stretch to nearly 11 months, an unusually long duration by modern standards, approaching the extreme deployments seen during the Vietnam era. This decision was not trivial. It reflected an urgent need to maintain a continuous military presence in a region where every movement is watched, interpreted, and potentially challenged. This incident highlights a critical reality. Even the most advanced systems have vulnerabilities. The USS Gerald R. Ford, CVN-78, is a technological breakthrough. Its electromagnetic aircraft launch system, known as EMALS, replaces traditional steam catapults. It is faster, more precise, and increases sortie generation rates. In theory, an aircraft can be launched every 45 seconds, giving the carrier immense striking power. But this sophistication comes at a cost. These systems are more complex, more sensitive, and heavily dependent on electrical power. A single failure can slow or disrupt operations. During an extended deployment far from major maintenance facilities, every malfunction becomes a serious challenge. The carrier's air wing, including FA-18 Super Hornets, forms its offensive core. These aircraft can reach speeds close to Mach 1.8. At that velocity, a jet can cover vast distances in minutes, strike a target, and disappear before the enemy can fully react. Yet this capability depends on a key factor: aerial refueling. Without tanker support, their operational range drops sharply, limiting their strategic effectiveness. Meanwhile, threats are evolving. Adversaries, especially Iran, and in other theaters, powers like China, are developing asymmetric capabilities. Anti-ship ballistic missiles, explosive drones, and autonomous swarms are reshaping naval warfare. Some of these weapons reach hypersonic speeds. At Mach 5, a missile can strike in minutes. For the crew, that means an extremely short reaction window, sometimes less than 15 seconds between detection and potential impact. In this environment, human fatigue becomes a critical vulnerability. A sleep-deprived sailor loses focus, reaction times slow, decision-making degrades. On an aircraft carrier, where every action is coordinated and every system interconnected, even a small mistake can trigger a chain reaction. After 8, 9, even 10 months at sea, the human body begins to break down. Mental resilience erodes. And the fire is only part of the problem. Life support systems on board are showing strain. Vacuum toilets, essential on a ship of this size, are experiencing recurring failures. Maintenance demands are constant. Lines grow longer. These may seem like minor inconveniences, but over time they accumulate and take a real toll on morale. Each additional day at sea adds pressure. Distance from family, repetition of routine, lack of true rest. Sleeping on the floor is not just uncomfortable, it is a signal, a visible indicator of a system stretched to its limits. So why not return home? Because in this region, presence is power. For Iran, every additional day of U.S. naval presence is a provocation. For the United States, any early withdrawal risks being interpreted as weakness. Staying, despite the strain, becomes both a military necessity and a political calculation. Before the Senate Armed Services Committee, Admiral Jim Kilby confirmed the reality: the deployment would be extended. The decision was deliberate: maintain pressure, preserve strategic credibility, avoid any perception of retreat. But this choice comes at a cost, a human cost, a material cost, and potentially a long-term strategic cost. A Navy operating continuously at the edge of its capacity faces increasing risks. Equipment wears faster, crew morale declines, the margin for error shrinks. What is happening today aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford, CVN 78, goes far beyond the issue of missing bunks. It is a subtle but powerful signal, a sign of a military stretched across multiple theaters in an increasingly unstable world, where technology alone can no longer compensate for human limits. Today, sailors are sleeping on the floor. Tomorrow, decisions may be made under extreme fatigue in degraded conditions. And in a world where reaction times are measured in seconds, those conditions can determine the difference between control and escalation. In modern warfare, the first resource to run out is not steel nor fuel. It is the human being.